Good morning and welcome on this bit wet and dull sort of Friday morning here. But welcome in. Let's just turn the ping off on my phone so we don't get that going off during the course of the video. But yes, hello, welcome. My name is Helen Jennings. I'm a Stampin' Up demonstrator based here in the UK, and we're here to have a bit of a play this morning. And I thought we'd have a bit of a play with the Party Puffins. Hopefully that will bring a bit of sunshine to us, even if there isn't any sunshine outside the window this morning. Perhaps you have got sunshine where you are, but for here in the middle of the UK, no sunshine for us, but I'm not going to complain because it's helping my newly laid turf to grow. So, Party Puffins. It's just a little stamp set that's in the new catalogue. Morning, Jackie. So it's a new stamp set that we've not had before. So it's always good fun to get new things out to have a play with. And it's really nice easy stamp set. It doesn't require an awful lot of colouring in because puffins are black and white anyway, so if you well, they are generally black and white, so if you stamp it in black ink you haven't really got very much to do apart from add a bit of colour to their beaks and colour to cakes and gift wrapped fish or whatever it is you want to use. So we've got some cute little card up there. So no dies or anything with this one. It's just a stamp set. Not just a stamp set. A stamp set is never just a stamp set. But it is a rubber one, so it's a red rubber stamp set. And it is beautiful. And I thought we'd have a play. So I've had some sort of vague ideas. Let's see how we get on, and I thought we'd play with something else that's new this morning. I thought we'd get out our basic borders. So this is a set of 6 dies that, as the name suggests, will give you some borders. So you've just got a zigzag, you've got this sort of more fancy wavy, sort of like a wavy zigzag, you've got this cloud effect just here that's going to be really good fun to create your own cloud stencils, but also to add elements to a card. Obviously you can use them down the side of a card, and you get these that are sort of almost like envelope edgings. I haven't actually tried them up against our envelopes. You could indeed cut the edge of your envelope. How exciting. They would fit that, and no doubt any other standard envelopes you have round and about. Those are UK sized C6 envelopes. So we've got that. We've got our Party Puffins. I'm going to get some black card for this one, I think, because I'm also going to bring in the True Love Designer Series paper. Now this is from the mini catalogue. Morning, Beryl. But obviously it's got some really nice black and white spots, stripes, mind-boggly zigzag, sort of psychedelic zigzaggy things going on. I thought it might be quite nice to use some of those. So let's have spots, and let's have that sort of almost cross geometrical squares pattern. I might also have some stripes. I wonder how big that it is. Is it big enough for what we need? I do believe it will be big enough for what we need. Just going to trim it while I've got it on there to 14.4. Right, let's take our card base and let's cut this down. I'm going to cut it this way, so I'm going to cut my piece of card in half, so that's around about 14.9 here for us in the UK. and I'm going to score it at 10.5 and fold it in half. I will be trimming that down in a minute. And that bit of stripy paper is going to go in the back there. I'm going to cut a bit of this, the black squares. So again, to 14.4. I actually will cut it to 10. I don't necessarily need it to 10, but we can reuse the bit that we've got. And again, I'm going to cut this down to 14.4. Hi Lee. And we will trim that to 10. So we've got 3 pieces of that DSP. We have the geometric square type pattern, we have the stripes, and we have the spots. So a great paper that you can use for all sorts of projects and things. And we have our black card base. So let's start to have a play. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that geometric square pattern and stick that to the front. Then I'm going to grab my stamping, cut and emboss. So I've grabbed the big machine. Let's open it up. And I'm going to take this border die, so sort of like the curly zigzag. Now it will just about sit across the base of my machine there. What I want to do is I want to open this card up, and I am going to cut probably about there. So I'm not measuring or doing anything, you know, as drastic as that. I'm just literally laying that die across there. Putting the base on it, and then running that through my machine. So has that gone all the way through? No, I'm going to need to run it back. We have grooves on there, so that's okay. It will fit back in the groove. Get into the groove. That's it. Feel it sort of almost snap back into place. I'm not sure whether that did. I'm going to grab a bit of washi tape and stick it in place. I should have run it through twice in the first place. I was asking a lot of my machine. So we have both paper and card on there. That's it. You feel it snap back into place when it's back in those grooves. So let's just stick that down so that it doesn't move when I put the plate on. Morning, Jane. I'm running through a couple of times just for good measure. Okay. Are we now? Yes. Lifting off. I'm going to keep that washi tape on there because I'm going to need it in a minute. So we now have a zigzaggy, and it is stitched. I don't know whether you can pick that up. A zigzaggy stitched border down there. I also have this piece that I'm going to be able to use on another project, so we're not going to get rid of that. I'm now going to bring in this white piece and layer that under there like that. And then take my die, and I want to give this a bit of a spotty border. With the white paper. So let's line that up where we want that to go, so that we're fairly happy that that is a nice even border. I can then take this, oh I can if I haven't got it stuck to my washi tape, I can take my card piece away and just run my paper through. And again we have this stitched outline just there, and not to be outdone, the other side is stitched as well. So when we come to use this paper, we could add in a stitch layer on the top, or we could have it coming underneath, whichever way suits us best. So we get a bit of a twofer going on just there. So that we're going to stick inside there and have that spotty layer, and then in the background we'll have stripes. So we've got lots going on just there. Let's put some glue on here. And we'll stick that in position, making sure we're happy with it on the other side before we completely press that down, and then we'll add our stripy piece inside. So you could have your card going that way if you want to. You could have it going that way if you want to. You could have it sort of as a, just have this front flap coming up here. You could put an extra front flap on and have it as a card that opens that way. You could do all sorts of things, but we're going to have it coming this way. So we've got those 3 patterned papers now on our black card. And look, inside we've got pretty flowers. That's nice, isn't it? If you wanted, if you had a pattern that you didn't want to show, you could always stick that piece of paper to a piece of card first, but I think that looks quite pretty in there with the white roses on the back. Right, so that's our borders cut. That's a bit of a play with those borders, and obviously we could have used any of those borders to do that, but we're going to have a bit of a play with some puffins now. Which puffins to feature on our card front? He is rather sweet. Let's find some white card, some basic white card. Looking in amongst all my oddments, I think I will bring in my Stamparatus, because we do want this to be a really nice black puffin. Ooh. The magnets on the back sticking to the dies, that's how dies go missing and things. And it's a good job my finger wasn't in there, isn't it? Right, so let's take this bit of card that now has inky fingers on it. And let's anchor that down. Then we'll take our little puffin and centre him up just there. Then I'm going to take my stays on. If you will excuse me 1 minute. I'm just reaching over into the corner of my craft room. Looking for a stays on re-inker. I did use my stays on yesterday and it seemed as if it needed a re-ink. Now stays on is solvent based ink, which is why it is so smelly. It smells of marzipan, but it does mean it can dry out quite quickly, which is why you must always make sure you put your inner lid and your lid back on. So we re-inked that, so that will hopefully keep us good to go for a little bit longer. We can no longer get stays on re-inkers in the UK. I know that elsewhere in the Stampin' Up world they can, but it is all to do with the customs regulations and trying to overcome those. But it is readily available because stays on isn't an exclusive Stampin' Up product. Obviously we use it and we love it and we supply it, but if you want a re-inker now living in the UK, you will have to source that elsewhere. But as I say, they are readily available, and once you've got one it will last you a little while. So I'm going to ink up my little puffin, and you also need to be quite quick with stays on. You don't want to leave your stamp standing around before you actually stamp it. Perfect. Might just give him slight sort of bubbling there. Which may just be because it's just been re-inked. Beautiful. So a beautiful black puffin. Now obviously I've used stays on ink there, so I am not going to go in with my stamping blends to colour the hat, because otherwise I shall end up with a mushy mess, because the solvent in the pen and the solvent in the ink will blend together, and we really don't want that. So I'm going to grab my watercolour pencils, I think, and I think that one needs a sharpen. Excuse me while I whirl in the background. So let's give our puffin, I think we'll have some yellow spots on his hat. And perhaps a bit of a yellow pom-pom. And I'm going to come in give him a red hat. so that that's nice and bright and bold, standing out against all the black and white. We've got an orange here. I think we'll give him some orange feet, shall we? Must admit, I've not been googling images of puffins to make sure that I am colouring them completely correctly. Morning, Hannah. And let's come in with his beak. I think we'll have this bit of yellow. And we'll go in to orange on the end there, pumpkin pie. Beautiful. A bit of balmy blue here. I'm just going to go round the edge of his tummy. Just to help to make that pop a little bit. Could do with grounding him. He's floating mid-air at the moment. Just take a basic grey. Let me move that out of the way. And just give a bit of ground under there. Let's move that out of the way for one moment. So I'm just spotting my little trimmer. So I'm going to trim this penguin down. So we'll make him 5 centimetres wide. By 7 centimetres tall. Let's find ourselves a little black card. We want 7.5 centimetres long by 5.5 centimetres wide. So whatever, I know, whatever you've cut your topper to, you just need it to be 1/2 inch or possibly 1/4 inch. Shall we start again? You need it to be 1/2 centimetre or 1/4 inch bigger. So there's our little puffin to go on the top there. Shall we have, let's have both happy birthday and make a wish. Get those off of there. And I think what we'll do with those is we'll take some black card. That will just about fit that way, which is excellent. We'll bring in a embossing buddy and some Versamark and some white embossing powder. So this is Make a Wish. It won't matter which way we do these around because we're going to cut them out anyway. So, Make a Wish. Really needs to treat myself to a new Versamark pad. I think it's got to look a bit sort of off colour, and then there is completely ridiculous, and mine are starting to look completely ridiculous now. Right. Ooh. How rude. We overstamped that top one. Pushed a bit too far. Bring in our paintbrush. And gently brush away any excess. Put the lid on the powder so it doesn't, if it gets knocked over, it doesn't go everywhere. And then let's bring in our heat gun. So the embossing powder now comes in 2 different sets. You can have the basics, which is white, clear and black, or you can have the metallics, which is silver, gold and copper. Hi Angie. Right, so let's take our little greetings and we'll trim those up. It needs to be trimmed. See, I don't normally do it on the trimmer. I normally get my scissors out. Right, make a wish, happy birthday. I think we're going to have it as happy birthday, make a wish. But okay, so let's bring him back in. Let's pop the lid on there. I glue. And there's our puffin. Try deciding whether to go with dimensionals. I think we will. Thank you, Angie. So we built up all of those borders with the border dies, and that scrummy black and white paper. It's still available because we have the new annual catalogue. The mini catalogue is still going. So you can still order things from that. Now, I know I'm getting really short on little matte black dots, but I think that is definitely what's required on there. So there we go. There's one of those cute little puffins. Say just as we've stamped him, coloured him in with a bit of watercolour pencils, and the rest is all paper. Might need to put a little bit of a panel in there to write on. In fact, let's take that bit of card just there. Let us see how big it is. It is, I'll make it 6, let's say 6 by 8 centimetres. So let's take ourselves a piece of white card and make it 7.5 by 5.5. Good way to use up little odds and ends and scraps of things. Don't really need to add any other decoration to the inside of our card because it's all beautifully decorated. But let's pop that on there. And then you've got a nice panel to write a greeting on. Voila! So there's one little puffin card. Using lots of, going with the black and white theme and using some of that paper. Now the other thing I thought we would do is I've got some of the ice cream sprinkles, I've got some of the ice cream paper. So again, these are in the mini catalogue, but are carrying over, not going anywhere. And I'm going to take, I'll say where's the others gone. I'm going to take the Stitch So Sweetly dies here, which give you these lovely labels. And I'm going to bring in they're not quite the same orientation, but I think that will work. So let's take that die as well. Okay, so we have that outer Stitch So Sweetly die, and then we have two of the stitched rectangles. And I've got going on over here some stripy paper, some wavy paper. So these are all the back. So you get the ice creams and things on one side, and then on the back you've got sprinkles, dots, stripes, all sorts of nice bright papers going on. I think I'm going to use this one. It is actually terracotta tile, which, as we know, is now a retired colour, but that's okay. We will bring in something else to use with it, and I think I'm going to go Bermuda Bay. Here we go. Excellent. Now, decisions. Which way round to cut my card? This way, I think. So I'm going to cut it at 10.5 along here. And then I'm going to score it at 14.9 because the front of my card is going to have a bit of weight in it. I'm going to have it so that it's side opening, so it's sort of got a bit more stability. If you've got a card this way with weight on the front, it's going to sort of almost drag it down. So for having it that way, hopefully it will have a bit more mantelpiece stability. Right, so let's take a bit of this paper. And we'll have that 14.4 by 10. We've got some waves to use for something else. And we'll have some stripes across the front. I'm going to make that 13.4 because it is 9 centimetres wide. So that will come on the front like that. I am going to, it's right, can you hear my brain ticking? I'm trying to decide what pattern I want. I'm going to make a shaker card, but I'm deciding what pattern I want showing through the back of my shaker. I'm going to go with this, and if we need to change our minds in a minute, we will do, but I'm going to cut this stitch rectangle, so it's the bigger of the two rectangles that I picked, two stitch rectangles, so it's not as small as that. This is going to create my frame, so the hole is slightly bigger than this bit of my frame, but not as big as the entire frame. Hopefully that makes some sort of sense. That's not hopefully complete and utter gibberish. So I'm just going to run that through my machine. Let me move my watercolour pencils out of the way so I don't knock them flying. So let's take that out of there. And that will sit on there. We'll pop this bit of paper out of here and we can use that for a different project. A nice striped stitched rectangle for something. And now I'm going to take a bit more Bermuda Bay. Excuse me while I rummage in my oddment drawer. And see if I have a bit of Bermuda Bay that's big enough to cut my frame from. I do indeed. I think I'm going to get it out that way. So let's take that scalloped die from the So Sweetly and the stitched rectangle just there. And let's run those through here. Oh, the inner one wibbled a little bit. Never mind. Handcrafted, not mass produced. Again, we've got another stitch triangle to use for something. This frame will come on there. Sitting in the background. We're now going to need some window sheet. Need to trim that down a little bit, and that will be a perfect piece of window sheet. So let's have a look how wide this is. So I think we go for 7 centimetres by 10 will be good. let's just trim down that. Let's pick up the other piece of window sheet, because obviously it disappears into the background very easily. But those little bits are quite useful if you want to. I've got another little bit somewhere, can't see that. But those little bits are quite useful if you're doing sort of flying elements on things. So we're now going to need to stick our window sheet to the back of our paper, just there. So we could do that with glue. I'm actually going to take, well, I might not be taking the Stamping Seal Plus, I've got a feeling it's run out. Yes, it has. We won't use Stamping Seal Plus then. Perhaps we will come in with glue. The thing with glue is you need to be careful not to get it too near the edge, because you don't want glue splurging out onto your window. We possibly made that a little bit bigger. Got a little bit splurged onto my window just there. Okay, so now we have a window. And we have a frame that's going to go over the top. That will cover our little splurgy bit actually. Now we need to decide what is going in our shaker bit. I'm going to stick this frame on there. So that can be in place. Oh, no, don't stick yet. We don't want you to stick yet. Oh, now I've got glue everywhere. Oh, Helen. No, I think we're pretty well okay. Trouble is, it gets a bit messy. Okay. Let's put that way. Let's not make the same mistake of sticking it down. I'm going to bring in this little bit of paper just here, this card, and I will bring in my Stamparatus. So let's start with this little fellow. I don't think we need to come this way. Might be easier just to move my stamp. And let's have him. Let's bring in our stays on, which we now know is well inked. Ink up our puffin. Let's give him another layer. Because we can. Beautiful. Let's take him off and bring in, I'll obviously clean him up in a minute. Let's bring in this little guy, and I think we'll also bring in a birthday cake while we're there. So let's ink those up. Puffin number 2 and birthday cake. Oh, I didn't take the centre bit out of that puffin stamp. Let's do that now, because otherwise, don't know whether you saw that, but you got ink on it. That's why those stamps have holes in. If you've ever wondered why you get those separate hole bits in the middle of a stamp, that's why, because those centre pieces pick up ink. So if you haven't got them in there, they're not going to pick up ink. I think the cake itself is okay, but the puffin needed a bit more oomph. Looks like it's got a bit of a something going on, whether it was a bit of fluff or something. Right, so we have 2 puffins and we have a cake. So I could have done that with Memento, and if I'd have done it with Memento, and again, it'd be worth making sure that your ink is good and wet. We could have coloured them with blends, but we're going to come back to our little watercolour pencils. We could use our Stampin' White markers. I'm going to give this one yellow feet. There's the other little guy. Let's do his beak, and we'll give him orange feet. Now, we have got a Bermuda Bay pencil, so let's add in a Bermuda Bay hat. I might come in Old Olive Spots. That's another colour that's in that background on that paper. And then the cake. I'm going to come in with a lightly add in some early espresso. Let's have a bit of a chocolate cake going on. Let's have some orange flames. And perhaps yellow candles. No, Bermuda Bay. Let's come in with a Bermuda Bay plate. And perhaps we'll give it a yellow icing. Don't necessarily want hundreds of colours. Okay. Where might the scissors have gone? Certainly don't want to be using my ribbon scissors for cutting these. I'm going to give this cake a little bit of a border. just because I don't want to have to be going too mad around those candles. So if it's got a little bit of a border everywhere, it'll be okay to have a little bit of a border around the candles. And then we'll do the same with these. We'll just give them, obviously I'm having to do this quite quickly and not with the scissors that I'd really like to be using. So I'm sure you'll make yours much neater. So we have one cake, one puffin and one birthday puffin. These sorts of cards are really cute, so great for the children, but great for fun-loving adults too. I did see, I was scrolling through Pinterest yesterday, like you do, and I saw a card that had obviously been made, was a pre-printed, commercially produced card, and it was just like 4 little windows, and it had got 4 little puffins in, and it was puffin, puffin, puffin. The 4th window was empty, so that I got nothing. I just thought that was so funny, and I'm sure that we could recreate one of those. I was quite tempted to go for a puffin, 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 nothing card this morning, but perhaps another day. So I think I think I'm going to go this puffin inside because he's slightly smaller. And we'll stick this paper down. Think about there. Just lay him down for a minute. Yep. Ooh. Perfect, about there. I think I'm going to take a block and just press that down. And then we'll have the little cake. Next to him. We'll grab some strips. Let's flip this over, take some of our foam strips, and I'm going to take that sort of around the edge of where we can see that Bermuda Bay frame peeking through. Will this match up, do you think? Let's bring that round there. So we need this to be quite a tight little fit, so there isn't room for bits to escape. Take some more of this tape on the outside of this frame just to support that. So obviously these are not cards that you're going to whip up in 5 minutes flat. Let's take the backing off of here. I'm not going to stick it on yet. And then this one. And then what I need is my pot of sprinkles. So these are the ice cream corner sprinkles. So they're a lovely sort of 3D, it's almost like funky foam feel to them. So they've got quite a nice bit of weight, which makes them good for shaker cards. So let's bring those in so that they are sitting on top of the cake and the puffin, and then we know that they are going to be where we need them to be. We've got stray ones there, in you go, little stray ones. Let's come in with our bit on top, press that down all the way round, and hopefully, yes, ooh, got one on his eye, that's a bit freaky. I've got a bit in the middle there that's just bunched up. I'll have a play with that in a little while. So let's bring in this puffin and we'll have him sitting on here. We'll put him on with a few little dimensionals. Like that, and then what happens to our happy birthday? It's just there. I'm going to take some, we'll stick with the Bermuda Bay. Ooh. And we'll have happy birthday from all of us. And I think I'm going to Happy. Oh, come off. Stuck. So there we go. A happy birthday shaker card. So that one is all bright colours, mad things going on, stripes, shakes, sprinkles, and then this one is black and white all over. So good fun. And obviously there's stamp sets we still haven't used. You've got a great little set of candles there. You've got this little fish here and this little baby puffin. Yeah, I live like this. To someone who makes others happy, you're the best. So some really nice stamps in there, and I hope you've enjoyed those, and you'll have a go at playing with some Party Puffins. In the meantime, do have a fabulous weekend. I hope you get at least some sunshine, and I'll be back to see you all on Monday morning.